Hi there, welcome to Tarotland Soap Opera. Today I'm going to do a reading for Virgo energy. And like usual, we're going to do two rows. The top row I refer to as high vibe Virgo energy. The bottom row, a more worldly, shadowy Virgo energy. And we all have our dualistic nature in our Virgo nature, regardless of what zodiac sun sign we are. We all do tap into Virgo energy. And Virgo energy can be about healing and growing and maturing ourselves, learning lessons in life, and some people have learned some more lessons than some other people, and some people in your life that you might feel are kind of more immature or bossy or manipulative or whatever. Those people in turn could know people in their life that, they feel have some lessons to learn, right? So it can be a little relative, but high vibe people, we start out with the King of Cup or the King of Pentacles and the Chariot. And so that can be people who have learned some of these lessons in life. High vibe energy and the Chariot can represent being more balanced within yourself instead of more tipped out of balance, where you're kind of more indulging poor behavior in yourself and others, and kind of between your worldly nature and your emotional nature. And high vibe is more motivated and inspired by love, which is kind of the Knight of Wands, is about your fire sign energy. And here we have the Four of Wands, two fire sign energies, about being more motivated and inspired by love. And the Tower can talk about that when we see things aren't aligned with our truth. Again, we could know people who we could be in a relationship with that we could feel are more motivated and inspired to maybe be in a relationship, but maybe we feel like they can be people who are motivated and inspired and love, but still kind of more manipulated by making their life more about the world, maybe not ready to kind of more look at life as an adventure to be lived and continue to keep learning lessons. Kind of makes me think of sometimes you hear people who say, like, they want to get married, and it's like, oh, why do you want to be married? And it's like, just to be, it's almost like just to be married. And it's like, why? What more, though? What kind of relationship would you like? And like that, they haven't even thought of. They just want to be married, want to be in a relationship, which can be for like the stability and security. And then to be in a relationship and kind of have someone, fire sign can be like a sex partner. But they really maybe could be that maybe a little more worldly focused, and some other people could be less worldly focused. Like, could they want to be in a relationship, have a job, get married? Yes, but it's more kind of maybe even just that your dreams are different, because the difference between the one wand and the Four of Wands is the Three of Wands, that we all kind of have this idea of how we kind of envisioned our dream coming into reality. And that can be a lot of different things. Like, well, I thought I would live here all my life. And someone else could say, oh no, I don't want to live here all my life. Or I want to live in a big town. You want to live in a small town. I want animals. You don't want animals. I'm really more motivated and inspired maybe in my career, and the other people could be, and then they could just be kind of more driven and motivated in general. It can be everything. It can be health, fitness, religion, just all these different viewpoints, kind of in a way that sometimes we can love people and we can wish them the best, they can wish us the best, but we could have very different ideas of our idea of the dream life in a way, and so sometimes those relationships don't work out. Sometimes we can move forward in something. The King of Pentacles, it could represent a relationship, a friendship, someone you wanted to marry, someone you did marry, but it can also represent jobs and organizations and all those kind of things as Capricorn energy. And sometimes we can move forward in something and they could be happy, we could be happy. Some people are really happy if some of you are working somewhere or in a friendship or relationship with them and they're ready to kind of let go of some old ways of being or thinking or viewing life and are more inspired to look at life differently. And the opposite sign of Virgo is Pisces energy. And so if people are kind of balanced between their Pisces nature and their Virgo nature, it could be maybe start having more hope and faith and belief in their dreams, because Pisces, also kind of like the Three of Wands, can be about these dreams that we have and what we think we would find emotionally fulfilling. And sometimes some people, if you move forward in something, some of those people could be really happy that you're in that friendship, in that relationship, in that job. Other people could not like it because it could kind of upset the balance. In any kind of like friendship group, workplace, organization, family group, friend group, we all kind of have our free will nature of being a little bit more about maybe ourself and these things of the world and our ego and our image and our immature nature, to whatever degree. And then there could be people that are more stable, grounded, balanced, inspiring, loving, have a little more hope and faith and belief in themselves than some other people, might treat people in a little bit more just and fair and loving and encouraging way than some other people. And sometimes you can get in a situation where the more high vibe people were kind of outnumbered by people who quite weren't on that same page. And so, kind of disruption in that foundation, because people kind of in the Three of Wands and their Aries energy of within themselves about how they imagine things moving forward and kind of what motivates and inspires them and why they're in that job, relationship, friendship group, family dynamic. And if someone else new comes in, it can kind of tip the balance where for the better or for the worse. And I think if high vibe people move forward in something and then they realize, wait a minute, this seems to kind of not quite to be the right fit, they would be willing to not keep moving forward in it because they're inspired to love and believe in themselves that if I don't feel this is a right fit for me, I'm going to kind of let them move on and do what they want to do. Um, and I'm going to, be willing to work through that. Sagittarius of the Knight of Wands is kind of wrapping our brain around the fact that we can be just fair, stable, grounded, loving, and encouraging people, but we could get in different organizations and groups where we could have initially, and people could have communicated like, oh no, you should work here and you should be our friend and you should be my friend or you should date me, you should marry me. And then kind of as time goes by, kind of realizing that kind of had different ideas. And sometimes if people are in relationships, we kind of think we have this common goal, and the Four of Wands can be about coming together with people like in joy and celebration, which also could be a marriage. But in whatever case it is, we move forward and we could, and some of the other people could be motivated and inspired to kind of detach from some old ways of being, to move it forward and start bringing this dream into reality. And then we could kind of see the truth that some people aren't. So just like employers can feel that way about employees, and sometimes, say, like an employer or people in a friend group or a family dynamic could be loving and encouraging to some people, trying to get them to kind of see the truth as ways of being that maybe they kind of repeat some poor past patterns, or they do seem to be not wanting to detach from an old way of living life or viewing life. And if the other people are kind of ready to move forward in life a little differently, well, then, we're kind of not on the same page. I also got a card out of the Cost of Becoming deck, and we got weak roots collapse under pressure. So, Virgo energy can talk about learning these lessons so we do feel solid and stable within ourselves. And again, the King of Pentacles can represent male or female. When we go take our worldly vessel of ourself out in the world, is kind of us in our ego, worldly nature. It can be the truth of who we are, but some people, they can kind of be wearing a false mask, whether they're male or female, presenting themselves as more stable, grounded, balanced, like they've learned some of the lessons in life that you've learned, or they're motivated and inspired to be more inspired by love or be more just and fair. Um, Kind of like they're inspired by the same things you're inspired by, or kind of also want to move forward and are ready to move forward. And then eventually we can find out that they want to keep repeating this pattern longer than we want to keep repeating that pattern. And we'll all repeat certain patterns, but if we're moving forward, some people could be surprised that some people are moving forward in something new. Some people could have been moving forward in something, and then one person's ready to move forward and one person's not. The tower can just be that it can be surprising whichever way it goes, You could be detaching from some habits or people in your life, a job or friendships or relationships, because you're ready to move forward and some other people aren't. And just like you're going through that, other people could be going through that. There could be other people in our life that we thought would keep moving forward with us, and we thought we were on the same page. And then something happens that we realize they're not. And just like we can experience that, other people experience it. And sometimes some people were hiding the truth of who they are. So we all can have our shadow nature, but some people could decide, I'm going to present myself like a more stable, grounded, mature person than they maybe really are. And then they try to move forward with other people who, kind of trying to act like I'm on the same page as you. And then as they move forward, that's the problem, that as the people who are inspired to kind of move forward differently, because they've kind of learned these lessons and they don't want to keep repeating an old pattern, they're ready to move forward differently. The other people maybe really aren't ready to move forward in that way. And that's when people can kind of see the difference. And then people can see the difference of who is ready to move forward that way, who isn't ready to move forward that way. If you're moving forward in something, it could be surprising if some people move on from it and some people decide not to keep moving on in it. I think high vibe people maintain balance within themselves, believe in themselves, and believe that regardless of who comes, who goes, that they will, they've been enlightened to the truth to offer love to themselves and the situation, to not let that stop them from believing in themselves and believing in their dreams. Is just seeing that some people won't be part of that dream. So again, if it's like a workplace, some people are moving on in life ahead. Other people could not kind of be working up to par or something, and they might get let go or decide to quit. And some people could move forward in friendships and relationships, get out of certain friendships and relationships, And high vibe people deal with the truth of it. Now, in shadowy energy, we have the Five of Pentacles, and then we have the Queen of Swords, and the Temperance card. Sometimes people haven't learned some of those lessons. This would be kind of more like page energy. In tarot, we have the pages, the knights, the kings, the queen, the emperor, the empress, the hierophant, the high priestess. This could be someone who has learned some lessons in life, but they, in the Queen of Swords, and the queens and the feminine cards can talk about how we think and feel. They could be kind of defensive. They're kind of tipped out of balance, maybe, or have a certain way of living life or viewing life that, of course, they think is just and fair. Other people could have lived their life like that, viewed life like that, felt that way about themselves. But those people did. The Temperance card also is Sagittarius energy. They kind of balanced out their emotions about maybe working, just continuing to invest in themselves, to go to those next phases of life, maybe have a little less fear, face their fears, work through their past pain, heartbreak, self-limiting beliefs, to keep getting justice in their life and facing our fears and healing and growing and maturing ourselves, is how we will keep kind of getting the justice we deserve. But some people could be more defensive to stepping outside their comfort zone, or they're just not ready, and some people don't want to be more just and fair. Some people don't want to balance out their own emotions, because in Virgo energy, that kind of takes work and effort. And some people are like, I'm happy moving forward like this. And that's where some people want to be in a more imbalanced relationship. This is my truth, and I want to keep moving forward like this, which could be, I don't want to see the truth. I don't want to see that I should be more just or fair or balanced or temper my more immature nature and kind of grow up and mature myself. But then they want to be in relationships with people who are more tempered, balanced, and mature. And they just want those people to balance out their emotions about being in a relationship with them when they're not kind of willing to temper maybe some of those more immature ways or defensive ways or prideful ways or immature ways or full of themselves ways. And people can, the high vibe people in their life can be patient, is what the Temperance card talks about. But eventually, the more high vibrational people, it's just like we were all 15. Was it just and fair for us to be a 15-year-old, an 18-year-old, a 21-year-old, a 25-year-old? Yeah. But other people kind of grew up and matured themselves, and they don't want to keep living their life like that. And so they kind of do get inspired within themselves to work through all these things that stop them from moving forward and maybe having some more hope and faith and belief in themselves and in others and in love and in their dreams. And the other people didn't. But then they want to maybe still be around those people. But that could be someone where you could both be, say, like 25, but the other person still kind of wants to act more like a 15, 18, or 21-year-old. And it's like, I've already hung out and done that age group, and I've already lived life like that. And, I didn't want to keep living my life like that. I want to move forward in life, temper my fears, temper my insecurities, detach from some of my more immature or defensive or whatever ways of being. Because if I keep doing that, I don't keep moving forward in my life. I keep repeating an old pattern over and over and over. And that wasn't my idea of the dream life. And we can all be at different places with different people. And sometimes we were people who weren't ready to move forward and other people did. And sometimes we're the one ready to move forward and other people aren't. And we can all, the Queen of Swords, can talk about feeling betrayed. If some people like to present themselves as more high vibrational, but they're really more motivated and inspired to harness these energies from a more worldly view of life, it's more about being in a relationship to be in a relationship. This looks victorious and successful. Isn't that what people want? Then we should make our life about that. We should stay in the relationship. We look victorious and successful. We look like we have what other people have. But shadowy can be more making our life about conforming to the world, not living our more authentic truth, not being more inspired within ourselves to not make our life more about conforming to the world. And that can be where it's like, do I want these things of the world just like other people do? Yes, I want to be in friendships and I want to be in relationships and might want to get married, might want to have kids, but that's not just the end all be all. And I don't want to be maybe in relationships, friendships, or job that by worldly standards could look good, but I don't feel like it's more inspired to work together cooperatively from love, or where I feel like I have to indulge people in poor behavior. I would be willing to leave those job, friendships, or relationships to go find people in the world who have kind of learned some of these lessons where they are more self disciplined, more balanced, more just, more fair, you know? Because if you keep moving forward in a more mismatched relationship, you could move forward in it, but you kind of feel betrayed, kind of hoping other people are going to change, but they have to make that free will choice for themselves. And if they keep showing you that's not their truth, and the fives talk about change and they're not willing to change, well, how long are we going to keep moving forward in a relationship like that? We could stay in it for a long time, being patient, trying to maintain balance, hoping things will change. But if things keep not changing, eventually people can feel like, it's kind of like accepting the truth. Shadowy energy can be staying in denial of the truth because we'd all like those things that we invested in to work out the way we wanted. But then we kind of balance our emotions out about it, and it's like, do I wish it could have worked out the way I wanted? Yes. And just like the people who have been patient, who want things to move forward differently, but it keeps not moving forward differently, everybody can be sad. But if your truth is different and kind of in your philosophy of life, of kind of what you think is just and fair, and kind of what drives and motivates you, and if you're defensive to working together with people in a more just or fair way, or you kind of like to be indulged, or uh, don't want to have to change, kind of like if any of you have worked with people like at a job and it's like, well, this is how we did it at our old job. It's like, that's great, but at this job, they want us to do it this way. And they really don't want to do it that way. And they keep not doing it, Eventually, people, it can get so frustrating, and both people can be frustrating. The people who don't want to do it in a more mature, just, fair, balanced way are upset that people aren't willing to let them keep doing it the way they want to do it. And that's not really their truth. So then they kind of want to go do what they want to go do. And the other people don't understand why people can't work together with them in a more just and fair way, and why they could be a little stubborn and full of themselves or immature. And here, down here, we have the Two of Wands turning their back to the Six of Cups. One, that can be, the sixes can talk about balance, that they kind of don't really do equal give and take. And again, it's like, well, I shouldn't have to. Again, some people could kind of be a little full of themselves. Maybe I have a certain degree, or I have a certain job level experience, or I look a certain way, or whatever the situation is. Other people should just balance out their emotions that I want to do it this way. Well, they can. It's just that some people could be letting them know, I won't be doing that with you. I have been patient enough. I have maybe been loving and encouraging enough. I don't want to repeat that old pattern. And unless things change, and probably eventually people just see things aren't changing. And that can be when a tower moment happens. You know, I'm going to quit. We apparently have different ideas of how we think things should go. I'm going to let them do what they want to do, but if I'm an employer, they're going to have to go do it somewhere else. If I'm just a friend or a family member, I'm going to kind of keep my distance from them, and they can go do whatever they want to do with whoever else they want to go do it with. So, in the bottom row, we have the High Priestess, the Lovers, the Two of Wands, and then we have the Six of Cups. The Six of Cups, in a more shadowy way, could be that people do want to repeat these certain patterns. They have a certain way of living life, and that is how they want to live it. And again, it could be they could hide that they kind of love being a little bit more about themselves. The Two of Wands and the Four of Wands is Aries energy. Everybody taps into Aries energy in their own Aries energy within themselves. They could like it to be a little bit more about themselves secretly. And of course, when they're going to go get in a relationship with people, they probably can't tell them, oh, by the way, I kind of like it to be a little bit more about me. And I'm kind of used to people who kind of maybe indulge me in a relationship. And I like that. That's how I want to move forward. Let's keep doing that. And the Five of Pentacles can be maybe both this is Taurus and this is Aquarius and this is Scorpio, and shadowy energy can refer to Leo, that in their own more Leo nature, Scorpio nature, Taurus and Aquarius nature, and maybe their Libra and their Sagittarius and their Gemini and their Cancer and their Pisces, in their dualistic nature of free will, they are more aligned with kind of being more about themselves or more motivated and inspired to be in a relationship, but it either being a little bit more about them or more about the ego and the image and the status of it. And that's their truth. That's how they view life. Very hard. If people, Taurus energy and the Five of Pentacles, we all tap into Taurus energy. It's this philosophy of life that people have that has been ingrained in people from the time they were small children, influenced and affected by their family, their friendship group, their community, their city, their state, their country, the world. And it's very hard to change those things. And, a lot of other things, their religion, their maybe cultural and ethnic ways of viewing life, it's, and some people, if they're happy living their life a certain way, and we kind of see the truth that they have this way of living life. And it's kind of like if you were going to work together with someone to try to bring a dream into reality in high vibe Aquarius, everybody has to be willing to compromise. That's kind of the temperance card. Well, you had your idea of the dream life. I had my idea of the dream life. And if we're going to work together to bring this common dream into reality, everyone equally has to compromise. That if it's like a marriage, right? Well, there's some things some of those things that's not acceptable anymore. Well, some people maybe would have a hard time, if there's certain things that's just a no-go anymore. And some people could have a problem with that when they kind of really think about that. I'm not ready to do that. I'm still thinking I kind of want to go indulge myself in the world. I'm sure that'll make me happy. Or maybe I don't really... High vibe Scorpio is a deep, meaningful relationship. I don't know if I really want to do a deep, meaningful relationship. That's scary. I get hurt doing that. That kind of makes me... I got to come out from behind my self-protective, defensive, egoic nature, being more about myself. I'd have to be more just and fair. I'd maybe have to work through my fears or insecurities. And I think I'll just go find someone else to get in a relationship that maybe would be willing to be in the relationship with me for these different reasons, who maybe wouldn't require me to do a deep, meaningful relationship. Or some people just repeat that pattern over and over. They really have this way of living life that maybe don't even want to bring justice to the situation, but they create the illusion they are willing to. No, I'm a just and fair and stable and grounded person. You should date me. You should marry me. You should be my friend. You should work here. You'll get justice, is the idea that people think. And then as they move forward in it, they realize that isn't ever going to happen. And that's when people can feel betrayed. Like, you created an illusion, that shadowy kind of Leo energy, because high vibe Leo would be you're being authentic, you're being truthful. And so we eventually kind of work through the regrets of the past. We could be kind of defensive, when we meet people next time, maybe to listen more, being more balanced within ourselves and our worldly nature and our emotionally intuitive Pisces energy. To maintain balance within ourselves, yes, I want these things of the world, but emotionally, I also want truth and love and justice and fairness and deep, meaningful relationships. And as I'm moving forward, if all that's kind of in my environment is kind of more immature people, is what the Knight of Swords can be, then I guess I won't be in a relationship for right now. And I'm going to focus on all these other things that motivate and inspire me, that are part of my dream, my friends, my family, my job, my career, other things that interest me, and go enjoy my life. I'm not going to go get in a relationship, kind of compromise my truth, because I've probably already done that before. And I end up kind of feeling like it's not very abundant. It might be abundant. Taurus, like Virgo, is their sign energy. It could have a lot of these things of the world, but it's not inspired by love. And if my dream is to be in more inspired, balanced, loving relationships, then I have to turn my back on people who have that more worldly view of life, because they want to live this type of life and type of relationship. And I've already been there and done that. And I found out I didn't like it. We come in contact with all these different people in the world to help us get more clear about what our truth is and our truth isn't. And if you've been in relationships where people are being manipulative or controlling or defensive or full of themselves or immature, yeah, the next time you go to get in relationships with people, you're now trying to take those lessons with you. That's like what High Vibe Virgo's about. That I can meet people, I can like people, I can be attracted to people, but if now I'm not going to stay in denial of the truth anymore. For one, I might maintain better balance within myself, even though there could be a part of me that would like to get more involved in some type of relationship, whoever it is, adult, child, brother, sister, mom, dad, former friend, anybody new I meet. If the people in my life already know they're kind of shadowy, sometimes people in their Virgo energy, you are very balanced and loving and encouraging people. Well, if you've already been in a relationship with those people, been very balanced, loving, and encouraging, and they kept not willing to work together with you that way, you've kind of seen the truth. And though there could be a part of you like, oh no, but because I love them, and I had a dream, and the Two of Wands also can be about these dreams that we have, that because I love them, but it's like, I'm not going to repeat that old pattern. I am willing to work together with people so long as they're not. The Six of Cups can talk about repeating these patterns of the past, but it might be in much more less contact or less involved than it was before, until people really prove themselves in a way. you know if you had put in a lot of work and effort, you feel like you did everything you could, and still nothing changed, and people kept acting or behaving in certain ways, we can extend more grace probably to people who are our family or relatives. Anybody new that we meet that kind of shows us they're kind of shadowy, yeah, I'm not picking up any more people. you know, Thank you for showing me the truth of who you are. Yes, I'm going to let you do what you want to do, and I'm going to focus more on the people in my life who do work together with me this way, because I don't need to pick up more people that, we could have a harder time. The tower can talk about this foundation, and there could be people that we have known in our life, again, in our family, and stuff like that, that we don't want to be completely disconnected from. And we would like to work things out. But if there has been multiple maybe betrayals and feeling like we are just not on the same page, it's like, maybe it's just better if we do kind of keep our distance, and I'll see you at Christmas. Um, we can all have a dream again of wanting things to work out the way that we want. And we can all go through a phase of life with people, and we could have been loving and encouraging to them. They could have been loving and encouraging to us. And we could have played a role and helped each other. Maybe, if we've all been in things before that didn't move forward the way we wanted, and we all felt betrayed, well, then we and other people aren't moving forward with those people, right? In our life. So then we could look to other people in our life. Um, and we could have seen the truth. Oh my gosh. You know, Again, we can be drawn and attracted to certain people to help us even work through some issues within our past that we didn't even kind of know manipulated us, and why we choose this versus choosing that. And sometimes we realize that maybe because I could have had a little bit more of a lack mentality, I could have felt betrayed, I could have stayed in my comfort zone. And say if you are more tipped out of balance, just the Five of Pentacles can feel left out in the cold. The Queen of Swords, maybe afraid your dreams aren't going to come into reality. Maybe kind of lack some hope and faith and belief in yourself. Shadowy energy can be a little more codependent, looking for someone to get in a relationship, and kind of hoping it'll work out, needless. And, you probably wouldn't get in a relationship if you didn't think there's things in common and similar, maybe viewpoints or value systems or whatever. But sometimes the role that we can play in each other's life is to help people, each other, work through some issues or some pain, heartbreak, lack mentality. We could all help each other kind of grow up and mature ourselves in some ways, and feel more stable and balanced within ourselves. But that could have been the reason why it was kind of like we didn't know it. Pisces moon can talk about these unknown factors that we don't realize are at play. And then once we kind of have helped each other through that stage of life, really how we want to move forward is different, and we kind of see the truth of it. And that's when some people can separate in a relationship. I need to go get my charger here. My battery is really low, so I will unplug the microphone and plug in the charger, and I'll jump to the conclusion of what's coming up that people might not see coming. So, yeah, weak roots collapse under pressure. People who haven't learned some of these lessons in life, if they do kind of indulge their more immature nature, they're going to go get in different job, friendships, relationships. If they try to present themselves as more stable and grounded and mature than they are, eventually other people kind of see the truth of it. And A solid foundation is built on high vibe Pisces or Virgo, which is like truth and love and being balanced in your, since Virgo and Pisces are opposite sides of the zodiac wheel, being balanced between the two is that everybody's supposed to be invested in putting in work and effort from truth and love, having hope and faith and belief in themselves and in their dreams. And those are the kind of relationships that you get out, you keep growing and maturing with each other. So some people could be moving forward with the people in their life where it is a more stable, grounded relationship, and not moving forward with ones that are not. What's coming up for some people who harness some high vibe Virgo energy that they might not see coming? The Eight of Pentacles and the Two of Wands, and the reason is because of the Knight of Cups. So the Knight of Cups is Pisces, because the high vibe people are more motivated and inspired. Again, in the Two of Wands is Aries energy. They love themselves, for one, and it's love that more drives and motivates them. That's why they put in work and effort into certain things. And they could see the truth that some other people, again, are more inspired, again, by the world or for other people to love and invest in them. But it's kind of that attitude. I think people should want to be in a relationship with me. People should view me as like victorious or successful. And it's just, that's like shadowy Aquarius that anyone can harness. It's kind of more like they just think it should be more oriented around them and about them. And again, they could be people who could be more codependent, looking to people to be loving and encouraging of them. And, we've all been there, but that's kind of not really just and fair. They're in relationships with other people who equally want them to invest in them and love them. But some people in their Pisces energy kind of have these illusions about relationships, and they kind of think it should be more about them, or to be in the relationship and stay in the relationship more because they're caught up in the illusion of the world. And it's more those factors of the world that drive and motivate them than love. And the high vibe people saw the truth of it. And because they were inspired by love, they got inspired to do this work within themselves to really think about how they wanted to move forward and what their dreams are and what drives and motivates them, and to see the truth about the different people in their life, what really drives and motivates them. Is it more love? Is it status? Is it image? Is it ego? Is it them? Or are they more motivated to be just and fair and treat other people the way they like to be treated, or not? And seeing the truth of who's who, and wanting to invest in the people who you think are being truthful and authentic, aren't creating an illusion, aren't trying to manipulate people, aren't wanting to be more indulged in a relationship. And regardless of what happens, there's no guarantees in life. That's kind of the moon. But the thing is, if we're willing in Sagittarius energy to look at life is this adventure and learning these lessons along the way. And if we take the lessons that we learn and we take those lessons with us to, as we keep moving forward, we're just less naive, less gullible, less self-indulgent of ourselves and others. Still be loving and encouraging to people, but I'm not as naive and gullible. And I think really the Tower, it is Aries and Scorpio. Some people are more motivated by the world themselves. They are more emotionally shallow and superficial, and it's just kind of to indulge themselves in a relationship, and they don't really want to do more deep, meaningful relationships. Other people do. And when we quit investing and move on from the people who we see the truth, their truth is different than my truth. that frees us up to get in those different job, friendships, and relationships with people who are more on the same page. Shadowy energy, represented by the devil at the big picture, well, the devil can all be all about immediate gratification, but the devil lies. So people might go through, in the Five of Pentacles, a period of feeling left out in the cold. But they're willing to do that. I'd rather not be in a situation where I feel it's shadowy and lacking in like truth or abundance or love. I can go invest in the things that I'm motivated and inspired by, and the people and things and activities I enjoy. And I might feel left out in the cold from some of those people, but I felt left out in the cold and in lack being in a relationship with them because they don't really invest authentically from love. And they also might be people who don't want me to invest in myself and love myself, don't want me to look at life from a higher perspective, don't want me to be more balanced within myself because they're maybe not. And they don't ever plan on working through the issues of their past that could manipulate them. And so they want to keep repeating this old pattern. And it's like, I don't want to keep repeating this old pattern. I've offered you truth and love to move forward with me in a more just and fair way. And if that's not your truth, that's not your truth. Then I'm going to start putting in work and effort to manifest my dream into reality. Because apparently my dream can't come into reality with you, and I'm not willing to give up my dream. Some of the other people did give up on their dream. They gave up on like shining their authentic light in the world, investing in themselves, loving themselves, decided, no, I need the world to invest in me or other people. That's what makes me have worth and value or something, you know? High vibe energy is being independent, knowing your own worth and value, being able to love yourself and maintain balance within yourself. And some people aren't able to maintain balance. And some people, oops, got an alarm on my phone. And some people, like, this could be learning how to be a good mother, father, coach voice to yourself, taking over that role that other people have played in your life to play that role in your own life. And some people are still more codependent to be in a relationship with people to play that role in their life. And then they want you to keep playing that role in your life, their life. They don't want to learn how to do that themselves to move forward with you. No, don't change, don't do things different. Let's keep doing this. It's like, but I learned how to do that within myself. Aren't you motivated and inspired to learn how to do that within yourself? To look at these things that kind of manipulate you and free yourself from them? No, I don't want to look at that. I want to just keep moving forward with you, and I don't want to have to deal with that. In Virgo, that takes work and effort for me to work through those things. I don't want to work through those things, and I might not want to see the truth of those things. Things about me, things about other people in my life. Let's just keep doing this. And some people are like, I'm not going to keep doing that. And the people in your life who are willing to do that, have some hope and faith and put in some work and effort to detach from some old ways of viewing life or philosophies of life or stages of life, and kind of have some hope and faith and belief to face their fears to go to that next stage of life, you will. And the other people won't. And, you know, it's accepting the truth. There were some people you did want to work with that you thought were on the same page as you, but we can only work with other people who are willing to work with us. And some of the people that you could have communicated with aren't investing in you to work with you to bring that dream into reality. Well, we can be patient for a while while we think other people are working through whatever issues they got. But eventually it's like, okay, I accept the truth of it. My dream isn't codependent on certain people working with me. My dream is working with other people who are on that same page as me. And if they're not, they're not. I see the truth of it. So what's coming up? And some people could see the truth of like, oh my gosh, you know, meeting someone or you coming towards someone or you being somewhere and someone coming towards you. and realizing, oh my gosh, this person is more on the same page as me. And you go communicate with them, and you could be shocked to hear of different things and similar things you've went through. And those people like become your best friend, or you start getting to know that person, and that might be the next person that you get in a relationship or a marriage with if you're not in a relationship or a marriage. It's when seeing the truth when things aren't working, but not to give up on your dreams, or you know taking accountability, seeing where we needed to grow and heal and mature ourselves, seeing where other people did. The only person we can change is us. I'm going to invest in loving and believing in myself. Where I need to heal and grow and mature myself, I am going to do that. If the other people choose, they have the free will to do what they want to do. But I have a dream, and I'm not willing to give up my dream. So I'm going to accept the truth that we weren't on the same page, and move forward with the people in my life who are on the same page. What's coming up for people who might harness a more worldly, shadowy Virgo energy that they might not see coming? Oh. And there too, as some people, we all can kind of be manipulated a lot by the world, because there's a lot of things we want to go indulge in. There's a lot of things we want to manifest. Sometimes we didn't listen to our intuition. But as we kind of deal with the truth, temper our ego, love and believe in ourselves, that could get some people more balance between their worldly nature and their emotional nature. And then you move forward differently. When you're out of balance, it's kind of like a tire or two on your vehicle being flat and or lacking air. And then as we kind of learn these lessons, it's like realizing I need to be more balanced. I need to require other people to be more balanced. Stand up for myself, believe in myself, be loving and encouraging, but don't indulge people in poor behavior. And that is kind of, you've changed. You're not the same person you used to be. And then you're moving forward in a more balanced way. And so, kind of in a way, like going from age 15 to age 18, for example, your dream is different. You're not the same person that you used to be. And that's what some people don't get. And there could be some people, they have their way of living life. You can always move forward in life differently, but at every stage of life, there can be people who are kind of more immature in that age, that group, just like we equate it to an age group. You become 25, you're hanging out with like 25 to 27 to 30-year-olds. Some, it's the spectrum. Some people are much more still immature, did learn some of these lessons, aren't repeating some of those patterns, but they're very immature. Other people are much more mature, and the bulk of the people are probably somewhere in the middle. And it's just kind of seeing who are more the people that are more on the same page as you and who's not. But as you're moving forward in that way, other people could be shocked. What? You're not going to keep doing this? What? You're not going to indulge me? What? You're not going to keep repeating this pattern? It's like, no. And so because of that, or people who want to be the next shadowy person to indulge in a relationship with you, realize they got to go find someone else, because you're not going to repeat an old pattern. But as you also do that, other people see you're not repeating old patterns, and they all know you could. If you wanted to indulge in certain habits or patterns or behaviors, or get in certain type of relationships for ego or image or lust or greed, or indulge in things just to feel better or something, take action more out of pride and ego, you could. And people see you're not. And that's when some people could really finally, maybe people were kind of defensive, because everybody could have went through their life experiences, and it's like, oh yeah, I knew people before who seemed more just and fair and stable and grounded, and then they weren't. And as you keep kind of walking your talk in these environments that you're in, that's high vibe Taurus, walking your talk, your truth, and people keep seeing that you don't like repeat some poor patterns or behaviors, that's when other people are like, okay, I've kind of worked through my defensiveness. I don't think you're like some other people I've known. I will move forward with you and maybe let down my guard, you know? Um, what's coming up for some people who are in some shadowy, worldly Virgo energy? The Hierophant, the Devil, the Page of Swords, Aquarius, Star card, and the Three of Wands. Why? Because of the Death card. Well, the shadowy people have a way of living life and viewing life that they could enjoy, that kind of drives and motivates them. And it could be that they have this way of viewing the way they treat people in friendships or relationships or marriages that they kind of do think it should be more about them. And that is the Taurus, the Hierophant, and the Five of Pentacles is Taurus energy. And a shadowy versus a high vibe Taurus energy. A high vibe Taurus is where you do act with character and integrity, and you are who you say you are. And if you're in a relationship that's romantic, it is being inspired by truth and love. And again, some people never plan to do love because you get hurt doing love. No, I just want to indulge myself in it, not really put in work and effort and emotionally invest myself in it. I get hurt. So some people could like to present themselves like a pillar of society, but the devil card looks just like the lover's card, except instead of an angel, there's a devil there. Kind of more worldly based. The devil is Capricorn energy. It's more from this more worldly perspective and ties and relationships. And the people in the devil card, unlike in the lover's card, they have chains and shackles on them. It's kind of restricting and limiting and imprisoning and maybe trying to control or manipulate people. And some people defend that's their truth and that's their idea of the dream life. And when high vibe people or when more shadowy people, they could get in a relationship with more loving people. It's nice to be in a relationship with loving people. Wow. You have hope and faith and belief and love and in your dreams. Yeah, this is great. I'm going to come get in a relationship with you. And I might defend being in a relationship with you for quite a long time. Unless we get to that stage in the relationship where you really want me to invest in love. Sorry, no, not going there. And hoping that the people they get in a relationship with, because they maybe don't love and believe in themselves, might decide to do life the way they want to do it, where it is staying more in the relationship for these reasons of the world. So here we have Taurus, that's Capricorn, and we're talking about Virgo energy. So in all three of their earth sign energies within themselves, they're kind of in non-life-giving energy. They do not want to give birth to anything new. They could turn their back on looking at life from a higher perspective. They harness a more worldly Aquarius view of life, a more worldly fire sign Aries energy. It's more about being inspired to look like a shining star in the world, have a certain status and image in the world. It's not about love. And that can be hard for loving people to wrap their brain around it. But, in a world of duality where people have to have free will choice, there's people in the world who are inspired to work together with people from love. And there's other people in the world who want to be in relationships with people. You can be loving, but they're not going to do love. They'll look like love, quack like love, act like they believe in a higher truth and justice. But it's really, when you're self-protective of yourself in that way, it's kind of really, they're more about themselves. I don't want to get hurt. And maybe, they're going to have to go on a journey of life. They'll have more high vibrational people move on from them to go get the justice they deserve. And they could keep trying this over and over with people because they might not want to be in a relationship with someone like themselves. But that's eventually what they might end up having to be in a relationship with. Someone else who really isn't motivated and inspired by love, who also is willing to be in a relationship because of the ego and the image or the status or the fear or the codependency. And so long as it looks good by worldly standards and kind of looks like they have what other people have, it's just that what really drives and motivates them could be other people wanted me to change. I don't want to change. How dare they expect me to change? How dare they? I'm a shining star in the world. Some people are just full of themselves. Some people have a certain status, image, whatever, and they think people should indulge them. They could equally indulge each other so long as it has this looks a certain way by worldly standards. It's just that they make their life more about status, ego, and image. Well, for one thing, the towers, like the divine, the divine can take those things away in the blink of an eye. You know, your looks can be gone, your health can be gone. Um, and if you're in a relationship with someone and it isn't because of love, why are they in it? Well, if someone else comes along who has more status, image, whatever it is that drives and motivates them, more attractive, or even, oh my God, that person's more immature, that person's more fearful, that person's more secure. I think they would require less of me, and they're just lazy. I want to be the indulged person in the relationship. I don't want to have to put in work and effort. I don't want to have to be more just and fair. Well, if anybody finds anybody where they can be the more indulged person, if that's kind of their truth, I want it to be more about me, well, then they'll, at any time someone comes along, it's like shadowy people could want other people to change. You should temper your ego. You should grow up. You should be more just, more fair, more balanced, more whatever. But they can be kind of full of themselves where I don't have to change, though. Well, there's nothing about me that needs to change. That can be people who don't want to see the truth. Other people can see the truth, but they can keep staying in denial of the truth. They can keep feeling betrayed. But for the people who kind of are full of themselves or have this philosophy, whether they're male or female, because of whatever it is, traits or characteristics they think they've got, or just because that's how people were in their family or something, that they have this philosophy that people should kind of make it more about me and kind of should indulge me. Well, they could have a harder time finding people who are willing to do that. Eventually, though, if someone is more about status, ego, and image, and some people have more than enough, they have plenty. The more driving factor why they could get out of it is because the other people in their life have healed and grown and matured themselves in some way. And they would like to move forward in life a little bit differently than how they did. And they don't want to do that. They have this way of living life, and they're going to go try to find someone else who they think lives their life like that. And they are sure their dreams are going to come into reality, but when we align with our more shadowy nature, it's kind of like we went down a wrong path, right? Could we have stability and security and all those things? Yeah, you put work and effort to have those things, you could have those things. The only thing is they won't have what other people have. They will not have a deep, meaningful, loving relationship. That takes both people willing to put in work and effort. So they'll have something that could look like that, but it's not that. One person could be more just and fair and loving and willing to indulge them and stay in the relationship with them. But that doesn't make it a deep, meaningful relationship. And they could kind of be jealous of the people who didn't give up on their dreams, because those people are getting in relationships with people who their dreams can come into reality with. And sometimes those shadowy people tried to stop the loving people in their life to give up their dreams and indulge them in a relationship. Basically, a shadowy people tried to trap a loving person in a relationship with them. And some of the high vibe people in their life are like, no, I'm not going to do that. But if you can find someone else to do it, that's their free will. They have the free will to manifest what they want. I just think eventually, if the other people aren't being more truthful and authentic, everybody could kind of feel left out in the cold and feel betrayed, because it's being more inspired by truth and love that makes it all worthwhile, and some people don't want to see the truth of that. No, I'm sure if it's just more about me, it'll be okay. No, I'm sure if I have the status or the ego or the image, I'll be okay. No, I'm sure if we indulge in these things and I like to indulge in those things, I'm sure it'll all be okay. What they really gave up is kind of growing to their full potential. And they settled to stay at a certain phase of life that the universe has been trying to show them over and over that this is toxic. It's stopping you from seeing the truth and realizing your dreams. You've let the devil win. Your own fear, your own insecurity, your lust, your greed, your pride, your ego. You put an end to your own hopeful, believing, inner child, loving nature because you got so consumed being about yourself, conforming to the world, your ego, your image, or these things you indulge in. And other people have found balance, and it's kind of like the difference between kind of driving your life into the ditch, at least emotionally, and having a good balance of things in your life and continuing to be inspired to love and believe in yourself. But for some people, it maybe would have required them to stand up for themselves, and they could be codependent on other people, codependent on the world, and not willing to like shine their authentic life and live their more authentic life in the world. So there you go, Virgo. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.